Well, Iran says thousands of nuclear warheads in the stockpile of the nuclear weapon states pose a direct threat to humanity.
It is extremely dangerous that some nuclear weapon states in their nuclear doctrines see the possibility of use of nuclear weapons against non-nuclear weapon states parties to the NPT and review the development of easy-to-use nuclear weapons. The matter of more concern is that threat and dangerous doctrine of use of nuclear weapons against non-nuclear weapon states were officially and repeatedly proclaimed by high-ranking officials.
Iran's ambassador to the International Atomic Energy Agency has criticized the U.S. for developing new types of nuclear weapons. Ali Asghar Soltanieh says Washington's recent allocation of billions of dollars to modernize its nuclear arsenal is in direct violation of international law. Soltanieh made the remarks in a speech at the meeting of the Preparatory Committee for the 2015 Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty Review Conference in Geneva. The Iranian ambassador called for the formation of a committee to work on a draft of a legally binding instrument on the illegality of nuclear weapons. Well, to discuss that a bit further, now joined with Mr. Ridwan Rizk, who is a political commentator, is joining us live now from Beirut. Mr. Rizk, thanks all for joining us. Now, how do you assess at this point, Mr. Rizk, whether or not the United States will be held to account for its nuclear arsenal?
Well, as we can see, Iran's been taking lots of time and negotiation with many countries, and especially the last summit was held in Europe. Also did not lead anywhere, and the West couldn't be convinced or does not want to be convinced that Iran is not after obtaining a nuclear bomb or using the nuclear power to use in any armed actions against any other country, because it's forbidden ethically and also forbidden by the Iranian law to use any mass destruction weapons against any country. So now the West is trying to strip Iran from its technology by using the nuclear energy or power to develop the country, or in order to progress or to go ahead with the developments of the country, and using this nuclear power or nuclear technology for peaceful use, sometimes into medications or into energy. As the U.S. government is trying to abandon any country from in the Middle East to own any nuclear technology, so they will keep Israel the only country in the area or in the whole region that who can not only produce or use the nuclear energy or nuclear power, but also having a huge arsenal of nuclear warheads since the 50s. And these warheads are directed to be used against all Arab countries, neighbors, especially Lebanon and Syria. So this is making a direct threat to the nearby countries, or the countries that who not yet agreed to go into any peace negotiation with this government, with this regime in Israel. So the United States must realize that cannot stop this development in Iran. The Iranians now have the technology to produce the nuclear power. They can use this, but for peace, in order to be able to replace the nuclear energy by the petrol when it's gonna end in one decade maybe. And then that will make Iran a very independent country, despite any other country that is not going to depend on any power supplies in the future from the outside. So this, of course, is bothering the Israelis first. And now they are trying to use the chemical weapons in Syria from the rebels against the Syrian army that will justify any attack from Israel, which is trying to take place in the near future, or trying to push the United States government to cover any hit from the Israelis to the Iranian some Iranian bases. But what's going on now that Saudi Arabia today came up with a position saying that they are going to shoot down any Israeli warplane who's going to hit Iranian targets. So this is a bit of changing in the situation in the region. And now the Israelis are not very comfortable, and they cannot implement their wishes in destroying any bases in Iran. So they must accept the fact now
Mr. Risk,
Iran
I do
is
apologize for interrupting you, but it seems that we will have to leave it there for now. But of course, we do appreciate your insight. That was Mr. Ridwan Risk speaking to us live from Beirut.